Welcome, guys. We're going to do this video on the upcoming transit for Rahu and Ketu through Gemini for all the different zodiac signs or all the Rashis. So I'm joined by Dr. Kanholi Santip Krishnan. Namaste, Santip, and welcome. So we'll be doing this video on Rahu and Ketu transit. But before we get started, I wanted to share some information about Rahu and Ketu, which we rarely find, largely spoken about, because people just go to doing an analysis of Rahu and Ketu's transit through different rashis, but what they forget is the basis behind Rahu and Ketu. If you really understand the basis behind Rahu and Ketu, and also the governing forces of Rahu and Ketu, then you will be better able to understand, what this transit holds in for you. Now, I would start with the mantra, the Gayatri mantra for Rahu and Ketu, and then we will take it from there. So the Gayatri is a 24-syllabled mantra or a chant. For Rahu goes this way: Om Nakhadhwajaya Vidmahe Padmahasthaya Dhimahi Tanno Rahu Prachodayat. So it translates as Om Nakhadhwaja. Nakha means let us meditate on Rahu, who has a flag of a serpent or a snake. Padmahasthaya Dhimahi, which means he who wields a lotus in his hand. And that's what we are trying to understand what Rahu is, because he has the flag of a serpent or a snake, and he has lotus in his hands. Lotus, you've seen many deities hold a lotus in their hand. Lotus is got regenerative properties, and it blossoms in muddy waters. It takes very little sustenance, and it looks so beautiful. So this is the mantra, and I'll talk about more about the Gayatri. But let's go to the Gayatri of Ketu. Ketu's Gayatri is Om Ashwadhwajaya Vidmahe Shulahastaya Dhimahi Tanno Ketu Prachodayat. Ashwadhwaja, which means is the flag of a horse. And Shulahastaya, which means he is holding a trident in his hand. And we say, let him illuminate our minds. Now, when we look at this, you see Rahu is very strongly associated with the serpents because his flag has a serpent. And he is also the giver because, like the lotus, he can give you all your desires. Okay? And lotus flower is also about, if you see the sun god Surya, Adityas, most of the Adityas, the Dwadasha Adityas, are seen holding lotuses in their hand. Again, he can illuminate our minds and give us all that we desire. And what does Ketu do? Ketu has a horse in his flag. So very rarely that you will connect with a horse when you talk about Ketu. But let's not forget that, Ashwini Nakshatra, it's again symbolized by the horse. And Rahu's own Nakshatra, which is Satabhishak Nakshatra, is also associated with the horse. Okay, so there is some correlation there between a Ketu and Rahu's nakshatra, and where Ketu's nakshatra, Ashwini nakshatra, connected to the horse. So also let us not forget, when you go to the 108 names of Rahu, there is a mantra, which is the 44th mantra, which says, Rahu is born from Ashwini Nakshatra or born in Ashwini Nakshatra. The mantra is Om Ashwar Riksha Bhavaya Namaha. Ashwariksha Bhavaya Namaha, which means he is born from Ashwini Nakshatra. Very rarely that you will find in any places that you will say, many people will say he is born in Bharani. but this mantra also says is born in Ashwini. And if you really look at Rahu, Rahu would be more aligned with 0 degrees of Aries, and there are no bright stars around 0 degrees of Aries in the sidereal system. But whereas Ketu, if you go to Ketu's 108 names, you will find a lot of reference to Chitra Nakshatra. And because, there is various references, like they say Chitra Varnaya Namaha, which means one who has got the variegated color. And also you see Chitra Karine Namaha. Chitra Karine means who causes more clarity and wonderment, So that wonderment and clarity comes from its association with the star Spica or Spica, which is the center in the middle of Chitra Nakshatra, which is 0 degrees of Libra. So if you really put Rahu and Ketu, and where Ketu sits is the beginning of, it's the brightest star in the sky and that's why most of the Ayanamshas, people follow is Chitra Paksha, because there is a very bright star there. It's a single star, Chitra, and it's associated with Spica or Spica. And on the other side, you have Rahu, and Rahu doesn't have any, at 0 degrees of Aries in the sidereal system, there is no bright star around there. So many scholars also believe that this axis is nothing but Spica or Spica, where this is a brighter star, is associated with Parvati, the consort of Shiva, and Rahu, where his origination is 0 degrees of Aries, is associated with Shiva because he is the unmanifest. He is the unmanifested form of Rahu, and that's why there is no bright star. And Shakti, who manifests the universe, she is the visible one, and right opposite is Shiva, who is there is no visible star, and so he's the unmanifest one. Another thing that I also see with Rahu and Ketu is Ketu also is said to be in this 108 mantras. They refer Ketu as Sri Pingalakshaya Namaha, which means Pingala, which means auspicious and colorful eyes. Akshaya, Aksha means eyes. So Pingala also is a reference to the Pingala Nadi, and Pingala Nadi is associated with the sun, and it's the right nostril. And if you know, sun it's a fiery planet, it's Agni, so you can see the significance associated with the Ketu being associated with the right nostril, which is Pingala, and Rahu is the Ida, which is more of the moon, and it's the left nostril. So just by purely going through and understanding your breath can also be able to balance the energies of Rahu and Ketu. Just by understanding that, there are certain mantras you'll be activating the Pingala Nadi, which is the right nostril, and certain mantras when you're chanting, you're activating the Ida Nadi. But there are only a few masters who know the secrets of mantras which can operate at the Sushumna Nadi, which is in the middle. So Rahu and Ketu is balancing that, so you can reach the Sushumna Nadi and you can activate that. It's balancing both these elements. And whenever we go to, I will talk about the Brahad Jataka. Also, just to give you a sense of what this transit is going to hold, and maybe we can, Santip and me can do an analysis of what it means, because in Brahad Jataka by Varaha Mihira, in the 27th chapter, he talks about Drekana or Drashtakon, as they call. It is the 3 divisions of the zodiac sign. So if you look at the 3rd division, because Rahu is going to enter into the 3rd division of Gemini, which is 10 degrees each. So each division is 10 degrees each. So there is a representation given there, and it's also has some significance that you can probably pick up from the description that Varaha Mihira has given about the Drakena. So in Gemini, the 3 Drakenas are 0 degrees of Gemini to 10 degrees of Gemini is the first Drakena of Gemini. The second Drakena is from 10 degrees to 20 degrees of Gemini, and the third Drakena is from 20 degrees to 30 degrees of 29 degrees odd of Gemini. So the third Drakena, when you look at it, is represented by a man who's adorned and decked with gems, and he is armored with a quiver and bow. He is skilled in dancing, drumming, and arts, and is a poet. Very interesting to see that the first three padas of Punarvasu Nakshatra fall in this Rakana. And we can see the association with the quiver and the bow. That's the Punarvasu themes. But there are other things also that is mentioned about, adorned with gems and dancing, drumming, and arts and poetry, and all of that is very the association with Punarvasu is bringing the joy back. It's about bringing the vasus, the Vasus is all about bringing wealth and bringing happiness and merrymaking and all of that. So the second rakana, which is from 10 degrees to 20 degrees, it says it represents a man living in a garden in armor with a bow. He's warlike. He's armed with weapons. His face is just like Garuda, and is fond of play, children, ornamentation, and wealth. Again, when you look at the description of a man in a garden in an armor with bow and warlike, it just represents Rudra. That is largely the three padas of Ardra Nakshatra. And Ardra also means the moist one. It also is the moisture that is there or the dew on the grass. So it can show you some element associated with the garden. And he says, a man with armor, with bow and warlike, armed with weapons, and who has face like a Garuda, who is fond of play, children, ornamentation, and wealth. So again, Ardra can also have a very strong association with, people think that, Ardra, but it can give you both, interest with ornamentation and wealth as well, because the Shakti associated with Ardra Nakshatra, through which Rahu is going to transit during this period, is also associated with the Rudra and all that Rudra qualities that you can see here. And the first Dekana of Gemini from 0 degrees to 10 degrees, it says this Dekana of Gemini represents a female fond of needlework, beautiful, fond of ornamentation, is issueless, and lifted hands and in her menses. So this shows again the fertility, because you see the second and the third pada of Mragashira following there, and the first pada of Ardra. So there is a very strong association there again with Parvati, because Mragashira is said to be the birth star of Parvati Mata. And you also see the fondness with needlework. If you remember, with Mragashira, people will notice that there is something to do with stitching or weaving. It's not just weaving the needlework that we're talking about, also stitching things together. So I just wanted to bring this aspect as well in the transit video, because there are so many clues that you can get when Rahu transits these nakshatras, what happens. And finally, I want to talk about Dasha Mahavidyas. Dasha Mahavidyas, I want to talk about two specific forms of the 10 great goddesses of wisdom, Mahavidyas, or knowledge. So amongst them, the two which are associated with Rahu and Ketu is, Rahu is associated with the form of deity or goddess amongst the Dasha Mahavidyas is Chinnamasta. And if you look at the image of Chinnamasta and also understand, what is Chinnamasta, because the story of Chinnamasta, it says that Parvati went with her friends Dakini and Varnini to take a bath in Mandakini river. And Parvati was feeling very, very happy, and she was filled with love. And her complexion, because of the love, she turned, darkened. Her complexion darkened, feeling of love. And her friends who were there were also feeling hungry, which is, her friends Dakini and Varnini. So they go to Parvati and say, please give us some food. And Parvati says, please wait. We will get there. And a little while later, again, Dakini and Varnini again tell Parvati, because Parvati is filled with compassion. And she says, they say, we are hungry again, and you are the mother of the universe, and we are like your children. So can we be fed very quickly? And Parvati again replies, wait until we get back home. A little while later, again, Dakini and Varnini, ask, they say, we demand that you satisfy our hunger immediately. And with compassion, Parvati laughs, and with her, fingertips, which is with her nails, she cuts her head off, and 3 fountains of blood from her head comes out, and she feeds Dakini and Varnini with that, and with the other head, she feeds herself. So again, it's the seaward head which represents kind of Rahu, and it's the desire or hunger to have the food. Even if you remember the Samudra Manthan episode, when Rahu or Swarbhanu, he was very much desirous of having the Amrit. So there is something related to food, and also what we take, because again, this is about hunger. So this demonstrates the connection with the courage that is required to make a sacrifice in life, so that you can satisfy your hunger. Hunger could be not only your hunger that what you want to eat, but it's also about materialistic hunger. Okay, and surprisingly, when you listen to the other form of Dashamahavidya, which is associated with Ketu, and she is called Dhumavati. Dhumavati means the beholder of smoke. And when you listen to her legend, her origin, it's also surprising that you see a very strong correlation with what I said with the same story about Vichinnamasta. Because with Dhumavati, Mahadev, who's Shiva, was sitting in Kailash with Parvati, and Parvati was sitting on his lap. And she said to Shiva, I'm feeling very hungry. So she said, can you please feed me some food? And Shiva asked her to wait and said, please wait. I'll let me finish my meditation, and then let me see if how can I, arrange for some food. Parvati again, impatiently, she asked Shiva, hey, Father of the universe, can you please give me some food? I cannot wait any longer. Shiva again for the second time, she says, Parvati, please wait, and, let me just finish my meditation, and let me just, see how I can arrange for your food. But by that time, Parvati was so hungry, she became aggressive. And the third time when it happened, Parvati became so furious that she ate Shiva himself. And when Shiva was eaten, his whole body went into her body, and his third eye opened. And because of his third eye opening in Parvati, there was fumes of smoke which came. And Shiva from inside her says, without me, there is no Purusha in this universe, only Prakriti, as you only exist. And this is the reason why Dhumavati is said to be a widow, because she has eaten her own husband. So you see again, there is a significance related to hunger, and it's the same story being retold. So is that the hunger that we are trying to, pacify through these stories? So we can venerate these deities because it just shows, Dhumavati just demonstrates renunciation. She's usually shown as an old widow, and she removes all the frustration and agitation, and she frees us from any form of disrepute, also giving us inclinations to go towards spirituality, what Ketu gives you. So why I'm bringing these stories up is, unless we understand the essence of Rahu and Ketu, I don't think this video we keep doing a lot of videos and transits. You'll have so many videos that you see on YouTube about Rahu and Ketu transit. But you have to know what is that you're controlling when Rahu and Ketu are transiting. And the nakshatras that they will be transiting through will definitely give a flavor to all these qualities that I'm talking about. So, Santip, I think we can get started. But also before that, and as we go along, I'll also be talking about some of the remediations that you can do, and what areas of your life you can look for to improve as you go through this discussion on transit of Rahu and Ketu through Gemini and Sagittarius.